Peace be with you. I want to welcome us to worship at Granby Congregational Church. If you are worshiping with us for the first time online or in person, I am Pastor Liz, and I'm glad that you are here with us. And we want you to know that at Granby Congregational Church, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. If there are announcements this morning, you can come up front. I want to remind us that it is stewardship season, and hopefully you've received a pledge card, and you can return that to the church office during the week, to the basket at the back of the sanctuary, or by filling out the form online. If you would like to contribute an offering to support the church's ministry, you're invited to do so with the baskets at the back of the sanctuary. And we have a new online giving portal on our website that makes it really easy to give electronically as well. So check out the website and say, ooh, this is pretty. If you have a prayer request that you'd like to share with us, there are prayer cards in the pews, and you're invited to fill that out, and then our deacons will pick those up later in the service. So, other announcements.
I'm Carolyn Dittis. On behalf of the Granby Artists Association, I'd like to invite you to our holiday gift show. It's this coming Saturday, December 2nd, 10 to 5 at the Pilgrim Congregational Church, which is right past the Rotary on 10202. So there are several members of the church who are also members of Granby Artists Association, and 4 of us will be participating in this holiday show and sale. So if you would like one of these flyers for your refrigerator, I have several left over if you want to see me at coffee hour. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Morgan. I don't think Christmas season can really start until Santa Claus appears on the float on 34th Street on noon on Thanksgiving Day. So following in that tradition, the Granby Congregational Church will continue the gift-giving tree. This year we have donations requested from MIOP, which is a support agency for mothers who have babies who are prenatal, though they must have been newborns, and young children, and also the Granby community. We do not have a tree up yet. That will be next week at the North Campus. But in the fellowship hall, we have the giving garland. And on the giving garland, we have tags, a warm blanket, a winter sweater, a soccer backpack. What we ask you to do is go over and take a tag, return gifts with the tag attached to the church on North Campus the next 2 Sundays. The gifts are due December 11th. Any questions, you will see 4 of us out there with the clipboards. Thank you.
Cookies by the Pound is coming on December 16th. So that is our church fundraiser where church members and friends bring cookies and we sell them by the pound, hence the name. This year the change will be we're going out of Cook Hall because we're churching up there, so let's cookie up there too. What I need from everybody is your best cookies, or your okay cookies, because they're probably still really, really good. You can drop the cookies off up at the North Campus with Sue in the office. She's there from 9 to noon and 1 to 4. I also have evening. I'll be there the evening of December 14th, which is Thursday. So if you're working and you can only drop cookies off in the evening, please come and bring them to me. All the information is in the email. If you have any questions, my phone number's in there too. Text me, email me, or come find me. Thanks.
I love the permission to bring our okayest cookies.
Your okayest is still really good.
We love okay. This Sunday is something of a liminal space, an in-between time. Many of us are coming off those Thanksgiving holidays and preparing for the start of December and the start of Advent. This Sunday is the last Sunday that we'll be worshiping at the South Campus for a few months. Next Sunday, with the start of Advent, we'll be moving to the North Campus. And so this is a time for us to be together in this space, to worship and to pray and to exhale from the busyness of this past week as we prepare our spirits for the month and holidays ahead. Let us be in the spirit of worship as we welcome in the Christ light into our midst.
Good morning. Make a joyful noise to the Lord. Worship with gladness and singing. God is creator, sustainer, keeper, and shepherd. Bless God's name. Enjoy the presence of God. Give thanks and praise. God is sovereign and holy. Bless God's name. Know that God reigns. God's kingdom comes. God is healer, redeemer, restorer, and friend. Bless God's name. Let us welcome our neighbors, new and familiar, together, saying, "Peace be with you."
You may be seated. Let us unite our voices in our morning prayer. God who cares, we flourish in your compassion. You search for us and find us. You, Holy One, surround us with the power of your abundant love and utmost care. Be present among us as we praise your name. Bring our burdens and give thanks for all that you are and all that you do. Amen.
I would like to invite any kids, any youth, anybody young at heart up for our message for all. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. You might not see my red wagon. That's because I don't know where it is. I lost it. If anyone has seen it, please let me know. But we do have bags. And you know what that means, right? It's Fourth Sunday food collection. So because you guys are going to be doing a ton of work in a little bit, collecting all the food, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit to the grown-ups, okay? Thank you. It's beautiful. Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. It's kind of a new idea, right? Giving Tuesday has been around for about 10 years. And the idea is it's a single day, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, to basically donate money, to share in your blessings, to not keep so much of what you have, to give it away. Tons of organizations participate. A lot of people donate on Giving Tuesday. Over the last several years, the amount of money that's circulating, that has been donated for Giving Tuesday, has steadily increased. And I looked up some statistics. When it was officially established in 2013, there was $28 million that was gathered. That's a lot, huh? 28 million. The following year, there was 116 million. And then all the way, we're not going to go every single year, but all the way, 2021, it was $2.7 billion just in the United States for just one day, Giving Tuesday. So each year, more and more money was donated, and each year, more and more people were involved, and more people were able to be helped. So each year, Giving Tuesday has become stronger and bigger and has helped more people. So today, like we told the kids, it's Fourth Sunday food collection. It's a time to do good. It's a time to give to an organization, to the community. We give to the Granby Food Bank, which is right next door. We as a church have an opportunity to continue to grow and to expand our community and reach more people every single year. The more people who know about the great things happening at Granby Congregational Church, the more people who are participating in giving to Granby Congregational Church, either in time or money or in non-perishable food donations, the more good we can do. It's sort of inspiring to think about, don't you think? So we are a new church. We can grow. We can become bigger and stronger like Giving Tuesday. So I'm going to challenge everyone here. No, I'm going to invite everybody to try to reach more and do more. So the next time we have food collection, if you can bring more than you normally would, that would be wonderful. If normally you bring like 1 or 2 items, maybe next time bring like 4 or 5. Maybe if you don't always look to see what the Granby Food Pantry is asking for, maybe you go on and actually bring the certain things that they're asking for. Laundry detergent, dog food, cat food, paper towels, coffee. And if you're sitting in the pew and thinking, oh, I'm so great, I already do all that, maybe you can donate more than just food items. Maybe you can donate your time and your energy to things like the Open Cupboard Food Pantry, right? That's housed right in North Campus. And I think that they like volunteers on Mondays Thursdays, and Fridays, right? Yep. So we can be doing more as a church. We can be helping more and we can be reaching more. Our community needs it. Everybody is very appreciative of what we can do, but I think we can do more. So I know you guys are all eager to go to Pathfinder's class and talk more about giving, because that's what's on our agenda today. So I want you to grab a bag and go and see what you can collect in the pews. And then we'll go ahead over next door. Thank you.
Good morning. Our scripture reading from today is from Matthew chapter 25, verses 31 through 46. As we hear the words of scripture, let us listen in words for the word of God. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats at his left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me." Then he will say to those at his left hand, "You that are accursed, depart from me into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me, naked, and you did not give me clothing, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me." Then they also will answer, "Lord, When was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not take care of you?' Then he will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me.' And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of God shall stand forever."
There have been a few moments in the last month of worship when we were presented with a challenging scripture passage, whether by mistake or as planned. And I've steered us in an easier direction and then promised we'd get to the challenging stuff eventually. Well, good news. Another challenging passage. We can always count on the Gospel of Matthew to give us a beautiful lesson and then sprinkle on top some spicy images of eternal punishment to make sure that we're paying attention. There's a reason why in Advent and Christmas, those feel-good seasons, we tend to stick to the Gospel of Luke and leave Matthew behind. One of my favorite authors and Episcopal priests, Barbara Brown Taylor, says that if Matthew and Luke both had churches in her town, she would go to Luke's church because Matthew is a fire and brimstone preacher. She writes, "He gets really excited about hell, which he conceives as a burning trash dump where a lot of sorry hypocrites are going to grind their teeth for all eternity. Luke mentions the dump once, so maybe there's something to it, but Matthew can't seem to get enough of it. Over and over, he puts hell in Jesus' mouth, filling the fiery furnace with sinners of every kind." Taylor continues, "I'm not saying Jesus didn't say these things. I'm just saying Matthew sure seems to enjoy reporting them." To be fair to Matthew, he believed the world was going to end very soon. And he was afraid that good people were going to miss their chance to spend eternity with Christ if they didn't change their ways. There is love in his desire to save people. But 2,000 years later, that love is harder to excavate when he was just the first in a long line of fire and brimstone preachers who used his words to make people feel guilt, shame, and fear over their fate. For myself, the threat of hell does not do much to change my behavior or inspire me to be a better person. There is already so much happening whenever I act or don't act, with immediate consequences that affect other living people right here on earth. I don't have to wait for the hereafter to see what the cumulative results of my behavior or all of humanity's behaviors are. That seems pretty obvious right now. We can see that when we fail to feed people, they starve. When we fail to invite strangers in, harmful divisions grow between groups of people. Even if we disagree with Matthew's warning, he's not wrong in thinking that we, meaning all of humanity, need reminders for how to treat each other. His lesson is a lesson that goes by many names: the golden rule, loving your neighbor, kindness. It is the first lesson we teach our babies as soon as they're old enough to grab an object from the hands of another person and say, "Mine." There is a reason why we create behavioral covenants before workshops and classes, even as adults. why businesses and organizations have rules for how people should be treated, and why there are laws that are designed to protect vulnerable populations. We collectively do not always care for those who need to be cared for, and we do not always treat each other the way we would like to be treated, or the way we would treat Jesus if he was standing in front of us today. Wherever two or more are gathered, someone is going to need to be reminded of how to treat the other person. If we had mastered this the first time we heard it, we would not be replicating and reinventing these teachings over and over again throughout our lives. Part of what I struggle with Matthew's particular branding of this message is that according to him, you are either the one who needs care or the one called to do the caring. And if you're called to do the caring, you're either one who gets it right or one who gets it wrong. This concrete way of thinking doesn't allow for the nuances of the human experience. It sets up a false binary that we all try to place ourselves into, praying that we will end up in the column of the people called to do the caring who then get it right. But the reality is that all of us spend some time in each place. Can you recall a time when you were sick and needed comforting? Can you recall a time when you were hungry and someone fed you? A time when you were a stranger and someone made you feel welcome? Or a time when you were in prison, perhaps the county jail, or perhaps a metaphorical prison of some sort, and someone came to visit you when you were feeling isolated and alone? And the inverse, I'm sure, is also true. Perhaps we can name times in our lives when we were sick, but no one was there to give us comfort. Or we can remember feeling hungry and thirsty and not having anyone willing to share their food or drink with us. We can remember a place, a moment in time when we were a stranger and we weren't welcomed in. We can recall being stuck in a prison where no one visited, where we remained alone and isolated. We can be quick to place ourselves in the role of the ones called to do the comforting. And indeed, much of the life of the church is focused on this. But it's important to remember that each of us, in our own ways, knows what it feels like to be the least of these. Remembering those moments or seasons in our life helps ground us in compassion for others and bridges the gap between those who need to be cared for and those who are called to do the caring. We move between these roles, sometimes wearing more than one at once. And in doing so, we're better able to be caregivers and recipients of care. We're less likely to see ourselves as the hero or to develop disdain for folks who seem like they always need caring for. When Jesus spoke about the least of these, his listeners would have identified with them. His early followers, and even the later followers when Matthew was telling his version of the story, would have had folks who were on the fringes of society. They would have been at odds with the highest and most well-off people in their communities. They would have been able to easily name stories from their own lives when they were among the least of these, and someone offered them kindness. They would have named several times when that kindness never came. The primary aim of his teaching was not to comfort the haves, but to bring much needed comfort to the have-nots. There's an old preaching motto that says we're called to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Jesus was a pro at this. Jesus was speaking to people who didn't need to be reminded how to treat other people. They needed a promise that one day people would treat them better. That promised day when people will treat each other better is the way that they long to be treated. That's what we call Christ's kingdom or Christ's kingdom. So sometimes the word kingdom can evoke certain images of like hierarchy or old-timey days or pomp. And sometimes kingdom can create a separation for people between how we understand our faith today and that word. So when I say kingdom, it is to emphasize the relationship between Christ and humanity, as well as the relationships between all of us as kin. Christ's kingdom is a time and a place where we no longer need rules or how-to manuals for how to treat each other with love. We just do it. Christ's kingdom is a place where all of us who've had moments where we were hungry strangers or locked in prison or feeling ill find those experiences to be a thing of the past, because wherever we go, we are fed and welcomed and comforted and free. We see glimpses of this kingdom on earth in friends who walk with each other down grief-filled roads and remind each other that they're not alone. In individuals who pay attention to who is missing and reach out to make sure they're not feeling disconnected or see what kind of care they might need. I see it whenever I hear about someone extending an invitation for coffee or a shared meal to someone who's struggling. I see it whenever that someone who's struggling opens themselves up to saying yes to an invitation. The spirit of Christ's kingdom on earth dwells within each of us. Within our souls is the need to be cared for and the capacity to care for others. In order for us to transform the world around us to more closely resemble that kingdom, we are called to remember the interconnectedness between us and our neighbors, to acknowledge that there is not one called to save and another that needs to be saved. We are, to use Matthew's words, we are all part goat and part sheep. We are all broken in our own ways. We all have aspects of our story that have kept us separate from other people and from God. And we are all yearning for wholeness and connection once more. So certainly, yes, we can name needs in the world that feel more pressing than our own. There are situations that are urgent and dire. But if we find ourselves apart from that more often than not, that doesn't erase our need to be fed, to be welcomed, to be comforted, and to be visited. Christ's kingdom is a kingdom of connection. And so we are called to seek out those life-giving, soul-healing connections whenever we are able, knowing that when we do this for the least of these, or if we are the least of these, we have done so to Christ. May it be so. Amen. I just think it's very unfair that I have to follow Roger. Thank you. In this time of prayer, we lift up prayers for Phil and Pat's dear friend who's recovering from heart bypass surgery. We pray for a strong and quick recovery. We are also praying alongside Linda Betch and her family following the death of her sister Terry this past Tuesday. We are surrounding your whole family in comfort and love. Are there other prayer requests, joys, concerns for others or for yourself this morning?
Liz, Rich and I have a good friend who just came home on Thanksgiving from having brain surgery. So they are now awaiting for pathology reports. So prayers for him.
Praying for Rich and Sally's friend who has just come home following brain surgery and is waiting for the next steps and results of that. Prayers in this liminal time of comfort and strength and healing.
Prayers for my sister Sally. We have continued good news as she battles metastatic breast cancer, that her scans continue to be clear.
Prayers for Sally for continued good news of clear scans with metastatic breast cancer. Let us continue in the spirit of prayer. Dear God, we have heard your promise that we will never walk alone. So today we are here pouring out our hearts, naming our grief, our pain, our fears, listening for your spirit in our midst, knowing that we are here together, surrounded by your love, surrounded by your healing and comfort. As a community, we are praying. We are your praying church for our neighbors as well as for ourselves. Opening up our hearts and pouring out that which has gone unspoken. Knowing that your Spirit listens and moves among us. Let us continue in prayer using the words that Jesus taught his disciples, saying together, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the glory for. Amen. I invite Chad and Beth forward to share with us our call to community. And as they come up, I would just like to say a brief note of gratitude and joy that in between prayers and music and the ways that we express ourselves in worship, it is always a joy to hear some baby sounds in the sanctuaries.
At the end of this Thanksgiving week, on behalf of the co-moderators and the deacons, we want to thank everyone at Granby Congregational Church for an incredible fall. After a year of transitions and waiting, the last 4 months have given us an exciting glimpse of who our church is and who we might become. Together, we welcomed our new pastor. We welcomed new faces to worship each week. We are continuing to get to know each other across our legacy congregations and continue to serve our Granby community in meaningful ways. Thank you for showing up, trusting in the Holy Spirit, and going on this journey together. We hope the momentum will continue into the winter months in 2024 as we continue to grow our new identity and mission. We are grateful for every person in this congregation, those at home, and those here today, and we wouldn't be Granby Congregational Church without you.
Starting next Sunday, our worship services will be at the North Campus on Sunday morning. We will be there for Advent, Christmas, and beyond, returning to the South Campus for Holy Week and Easter. This rotation continues our commitment to move campuses quarterly in a way that ensures our major holidays are shared between the two sanctuaries. Our theme for Advent this year is How Does the Weary World Rejoice? Try saying that 3 times. Whew. Through scripture, prayer, and music, we will explore how we find joy and possibility in a world where there are many difficult circumstances. Every Sunday in Advent, we will experience traditions like lighting the Advent candles and singing carols together. There will be special services. Our kids will perform a Christmas pageant. On winter solstice, we'll lead a longest night service for anyone who is grieving. And on Christmas Eve, we will come together for our traditional evening worship services. The flyer in the bulletin previews some of the wonderful opportunities, and on the back, there is a daily Advent calendar you can use at home. As Advent begins, we hope Granby Congregational Church will be part of your holiday season. Each of us is invited to experience this sacred time with your church family, finding respite in familiar stories, inspiration for meaningful worship, and joy in the midst of the busyness of December. May the light of Christ shine brightly in our church this Advent and Christmas.
Please join me in our prayer of commitment. We give thanks for Granby Congregational Church. Together, may we strive to show up in community, for community, and as one faith community. With the changing of the church season, may we carry the spirit of thanksgiving into Advent, living each day with gratitude and generosity of spirit. Amen. I just realized that the flyer didn't make it into my bulletin. Was it in the sanctuary today? Did folks see it? Well, check your email this week. And we'll have a copy of it next Sunday as well. And there's a lot of important information in there, and a really fun daily Advent calendar. As part of our moving sanctuaries, there's a lot of moving parts that will happen. Oh, it's in the back. It is green, and Beth is holding it up. And perhaps we will bring some copies to both exits, and we'll take them on the way out. I'm really glad I said something. All right. As part of moving between our worship spaces, there are some invisible acts that will happen this week to prepare the North Campus for worship. And folks are invited next Saturday morning to join us as we decorate that space for Advent. But there's something that we can all do today. After we sing our closing hymn, if you would hold on to your hymnal and then bring it to their boxes by both doors and place it in there, We've realized that having separate sets and types of hymnals at each campus has created an unnecessary division. So moving forward, all of our hymnals will be at both campuses because they are the hymnals that represent our full congregation. So if you could help us by taking your hymnal to the back or side of the sanctuary, we will get those moved this week. So let us rise in spirit or body as we sing together hymn 434, God Be With You Till We Meet Again. Friends, as we leave this time of worship, I pray that no matter where your journey takes you, you'll remember that the grace and peace of God will surely follow. Amen.